This video is brought to you by the Farmer Klein YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another Farming Simulator 22 Map First Impressions video. Today we're going to take a look at Wastelands. But before that, this video is brought to you by Ravenhawk 1 and MacFlies. Thank you for being farm barons. So the Wastelands map can be found over at the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu, and as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for all platforms. Let me read you a little bit of the description. Wasteland. In times, these lands were used by the people so that they could take food and prosper in better business. Today, it's a little abandoned and limited. They will require a lot of work and ambition so that something good can be expected from here. This land, somewhere on the suburbs of Portugal, in which the region is not exact. So this map includes 2 farms, one of which is owned in New Farmer Mode. Both farms have animals. New Farmer Mode has sheep. The other farm has cows and chickens. There are 2 fields on this map. Just 2 fields. This is a wilderness style map. This map also includes olive groves and grape vineyards already pre-placed. There is an industrial area with several factories and a vast wasteland. It's the name of the map for you to explore. Let's go ahead and load on in. We are going to use the mods that we typically use when we load in maps. That is additional field info, additional game settings, field lease, field calculator, and precision farming. Now, if you happen to load this map up in farm manager mode or start from scratch, you will see the farms are exactly laid out how you're going to see them here in New Farmer Mode, including starting machinery. So you do own all the starting machinery in all play modes. The only difference is in farm manager or start from scratch, you do not own any land. Now, when you first load into the map, you will load in here at the vehicle shop. And let's go ahead and take a look at the PDA. So as you can see, we have a vast wilderness on the outside of the map and kind of here toward the center. 2 large fields. None of them are owned at the start. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look at the lands. We start out by owning farmland number 4 down here to the south. That is $384,000 basically to buy. There is a biogas plant that we can buy for $47,000 in farmland 31. And then farmland 13 is the second farm. It does include a pre-established field as well as a grape and olive orchard. And that can be bought for $684,000. The largest field on the map, the second field on the map, can be bought for $471,000. Now, there is a lime mine down here in the southeast corner. That can be bought as well as the main town and the area outside the map and this river or lake, whatever you want to call it, for $2.5 million. Now, this area down here has a couple little surprises. There is a stone crusher as well as a lime station in order to buy bulk lime. But we also have a rather interesting surprise down here, and I can't wait to show you that in the drive around. This map does include all of the standard crops available to us in Farm Sim 22. And back to the lands, you will see that we also have the ability to buy these little plots. This is where a bulk of the factories are pre-placed on the map. Let's go ahead and take a look at our farmland lease screen. The farmland lease screen is going to be showing us all of the viable farmlands, how big those farmlands are, how much those farmlands are going to cost, and if those farmlands happen to include any predefined fields, which fields they are. And as you can see, most of these farmlands are fairly large in the teens and 20 hectare ranges. And here are the smaller farmlands that are associated with the production sites. Let's go ahead and take a look at our field calculator screen, and this is going to show us the 2 fields we have on this map. Field 1, which is a part of the land in the second farm, is just over 1 hectare in size, and the largest field, Field 2, is 12.3 hectares in size. Take a look at our crop counter. You will see that we do have our standard crop counter available to us in Farm Sim 22 on this particular map. We go back up here to talk about our precision farming soil map. We're not going to expose the soil map, but I will tell you that this map includes the generic soil map that is a part of the precision farming mod. So if you are playing with precision farming, then you can expect to see the generic soil map as you expose more and more of this land as you clear it out and make your own fields. If we take a look at our prices screen, you will see that we do indeed have the ability to sell all of our base game crops that we can grow in Farm Sim 22. We also have the ability to sell all of our animal outputs in eggs, wool, and milk. We do have sell points for silage, hay, straw, and grass as well. And then as we talk about the various productions that are available in the base game, we do have the ability to sell most of our base game productions with the exception of chocolate. I'm not really sure why, but for whatever reason, there is no place to sell chocolate on this map. And this map does include a dairy built in. I'm sure it is likely an oversight, and hopefully it will get adjusted in an update. We do have the ability to buy bulk lime, and there's also a stone crusher also on this map. So if you do play with stones enabled, you won't have to worry about putting your own down. Now, as we move down here and take a look at all of the platinum expansion productions, you will see that this map does not include the ability to sell any of the platinum expansion productions. And as of this point in time, that is not a problem because, of course, the platinum expansion just came out and this map was most definitely in development while that was still unreleased. But hopefully we will see an update that will maybe include the ability to sell these at some generic sell point. But in the meantime, you can always put down the Silver Run Forest Market and then sell these platinum expansion productions there if you place them down as well. If you are playing with pumps and hoses, you can also sell your separated manure at the bale sell point. In all play modes, we start out with the same starting machinery. All of it is new. None of it is leased. We have 3 animal areas pre-placed on the map. That is a custom sheep and chicken and cow pasture. Sadly, though, you can't sell those, nor can you put them down. We do have contracts available on the 2 fields that are not owned at the start, and we do not own any production chains. And lastly, there are 9 custom collectibles on this map. The collectibles are going to look like small cheese wedges, or small cheese circles, half cheese circles, I should say, really. Let's go ahead and take a look at our starting fleet. We start out with the Massey Ferguson 3670 medium tractor, and then we move on to the John Deere 7R270 large tractor. We have the Deucefar Topliner 4090H harvester that is paired up with the 4090H rain header. We then have the Karat 140 TD trailer, the Servo 25 plow, the Terreno 3FX cultivator, we have the Nordstein HK25 NS 3030 seeder. We have a small F240 front mower, the Boss Alpine 251 forage wagon. We have a Massey Ferguson 1840 small square baler. And then an interesting factoid. We have the Arcusin FSX 63.72 large square bale loader. Yeah, so we don't really have a use for the bale loader if we make small square bales. And if we want to use the large square baler, we really don't have much use for the small square baler. So pick whichever one you don't want and sell that. And then basically you're going to be able to then pick up either the multi-pack small bale stacker for basically stacking bales. And then after you own that, you could use the FSX 6372 to stack those bales. But right now, you're not going to have a matching pair of baler and bale loader with those 2 starting equipment. If we take a look at our mods and DLCs, you will see that we do not have any custom vehicles or equipment that is tied to this map. And if we quickly tab over to our starting farm, let me go ahead and show you where that is here on the map. Once again, it is kind of down here to the southwest. So we are right here. And I will tell you that these buildings are permanently placed on this map. They're available in all play modes, and you cannot get rid of them. In fact, the only building on this map that you can actually sell is going to be the farmhouse in the northern farm which we don't own at the start. So we've got our starting machinery there and over here. Now we do have a farmhouse here, and I want to pull up the F1 menu. Typically, I'd come up here and I show you that the sleep trigger works. But notice the sleep trigger does not function in any way at this trailer. Now, during a live stream earlier today, they were saying that this works. Well, I challenge you. You can see this is not working one bit for me. I am in new farmer mode and I own the land. There's no reason why this wouldn't work, but it's not working for me. If it works for you, I have absolutely no idea why it would work for you. All I did was load this up and it's not working. So we do have the base game silo, or a base game silo. This one looks to be a little bit weathered, but at any rate, we have our dump point and our fill point. Off in the distance, we have a silage bunker here on the starting farm. So perfect given the fact of grass that you have around here. You can start making some silage and then you could possibly sell that at the BGA once you own that. We have a hayloft for storage of straw and hay. And then up the hill, we have our sheep area. So again, the fencing, all of the buildings, they are permanently embedded in the map. We cannot sell those. Let's go ahead and get a sheep. We have 150 sheep in this particular pen. We have our area for our wool pallets. Then we have our water and our food for our sheep. And they have this whole area to roam around in. Really, really nice area. Now, while we're taking a look here, let's go ahead and go into build mode. Take a look at our sheds. We did have some custom sheds down here. Where are we at? So these sheds are custom, right? But we do not have the ability to place those down. On our silos, we have just the standard silos. Actually, I should say we do have a couple silos we can place. We got that one. And then this one, which is just triggers for the seed and lime silo. Silo extensions, containers, tools, and farmhouses are all standard base game stuff. As far as production goes, we do not have any custom production available to put down on the map. These are all standard production items that are simply pre-placed. I don't know why they're showing up here as mods. Those are also pre-placed on the map. Standard orchards, greenhouses, and all such. Same animals, base game animals, so we can't put down the custom animal areas that we're going to see here on this particular map. Same with respect to decorations. And landscaping, let's take a look at our paint textures. Fairly standard suite of FS22 paint textures and a rather limited set of plants and grass and a couple of different bushes. Well, let's go ahead and get set up for the fly around. We'll fly around the map and then come back to the vehicle shop, get in our Mahindra, and drive around to a few interesting points on the map. Now, as we are gaining a little altitude, we are looking towards the north. And you get a good little sense of how much open land there is, how much trees we have here. We'll go ahead and take a look down. This is the sheep pasture. Really large sheep pasture area. Again, 150 sheep. Now, as far as the land that we own, to the east, we only own the land up to the tree line there. To the west, we only own the land to the tree line. What we do own at the start is a decent amount of trees. What we don't have is any sort of forestry equipment. We don't even have a chainsaw. So I feel that is a little bit maybe of a misstep. It would be nice to have had some forestry equipment because we don't own any actual farmland at the start. We have the sheep area and this forested area, and that's it. So it would be nice to be able to make use of some of the starting machinery by having some farmland that we can already start and kind of make use of. It almost makes more sense if we own the farm to the north, because it does start out with at least one field, and then we have the olives and grapes also tied to that. So as we move up the western side of the map, periodically we're going to find these windmills placed around here, and these are kind of, in my opinion, a little odd to be placed here because they are pretty out of place. Visually, they're just extremely low textures. They're just extremely out of place, in my opinion. Like I said, they're just kind of scattered around. So with respect to production being built in or areas set aside for such, in town we have most of the production. There are 14 different production items pre-placed on this map. So we have a tailor, we have a sugar mill, we have a dairy, an oil mill, grape processing, a spinnery, grain mill, a cereal factory, carpentry, a bakery, 3 large greenhouses, and a biogas plant. So down below we have our grapes and olives. And then these two right here on the north side of the road, these are tied to the secondary farm, which is just over there. More wasteland off to the north. And then all of this street area here is also owned by this particular farm. So there we have our one field. More permanently placed buildings. We've got another silo there. We have some bee houses, hives. We have 2 silage bunkers. We have the farmhouse. And the farmhouse we can actually sell. And this farmhouse, if you own this farm, actually has a usable sleep trigger also. There is a cow area and a chicken area down here as well. There is our vehicle shop, biogas plant, and the town. Our 3 greenhouses are just to the northeast of the second farm. Then here we have the large field 2. We have an observation tower up to the north. Here we have our biomass heating plant. And then the lime facility, which I don't want to show you quite yet. I want to kind of hold that one out for a little bit. As far as the lay of the land goes, we don't have a completely flat map. It's just kind of rolling down here to the river, and then once you get to the other side of the river, kind of makes its way gently up the slope again further north. So I wouldn't say it's a hilly map in any stretch of the imagination. It's fairly flat, but it is not a completely flat map. Should be fairly easy on the machinery as far as using horsepower, maybe a little bit lower than what the rating might be for your implements. So there we have the biogas plant. 2 3-sided bunkers. We have a fuel point, and then we have all types of sell points and production facilities located right here, as well as the sawmill. Well, not really sawmill, but a wood chip and log sell point. Let's just jump back down here to the shop. And this is where we're going to buy our Mahindra and then do our drive around. And then when we exit the shop, we're basically tossed way over here on the other side of the parking lot. It's a little disjointing, actually, when you think you were just over there and now suddenly you're way over here. We have our vehicle sell point and customized repair sell repaint trigger. Right here, our dealer trigger. Let's go ahead and jump in our Mahindra. And then with respect to the other points on the map, the ability to sell base game products, crops, and animal outputs. We are going to give the map a full point there. No, sorry, we're not. We're not going to give the map a full point there because remember, we can't sell chocolates, right? So we are going to deduct a quarter of a point. I misspoke there. We are going to deduct a quarter of a point with respect to not having the ability to sell chocolate. Might seem like a little bit steep, but we've already established a general scoring range of how many points we're going to deduct based on how many field types we cannot sell. And 1 to like 10 is a quarter of a point. So here we have our cow area. We can have 200 cows in this particular facility. We have our milk trigger. Hello, Betsy. We have our slurry point. And then we have our water trough and our food trough. Further down the line here, this is where the chicken area is. So we have our food trough for the chickens. We have our buy point for our chickens, 150 chickens in this particular open range kind of area. And then our chicken eggs, I believe, are going to spawn over here. It's not marked. That's going to come back. That's going to come back to haunt them. Let's go on back over here to our Mahindra, and we'll continue looking around. Now, with respect to can the farms be customized? So we've already touched on this. Farms cannot be customized. So we're not going to give the map any points. I know we can sell the farmhouse to the north here. It's not owned at the start, and it's a darn expensive plot of land. By the time you can afford to buy that plot of land, the fact that you can sell a farmhouse is probably mute. And it would really be nice on this wilderness style map if these farming areas could be sold, or the buildings on these farming areas could be sold, so you can kind of build out your own thing. You're already building out your own fields. Why are we not being able to build out our own farms? So here we have the 3 greenhouses that are pre-placed on the map. Kind of a narrow gate to get in here, the way these doors are kind of affixed. So we're coming up the northern side of field 2. We've got our wilderness to the left. Then we have our field to the right. Now overall the wilderness is very sparsely planted with trees. It wouldn't take much to really clear that whole area of trees. Kind of a stark difference as opposed to like this area over here by the biomass heating area that is much more densely planted in trees. So try to figure out how to get into this darn place. Here we finally have the road to get into here. So we've got our wood cell trigger, our wood chip trigger right there. Now, where did I miss the road? There we go, okay. Right before the trees started. Let's head back over here to the upper farm. With respect to buildings where appropriate are using the new texture technique. Now, I kind of talked a little bit about those windmills and how out of place they felt. I'm going to go ahead and give the map a full point with respect to buildings. Now, the windmills are really out of place, and they probably, maybe I could take a quarter point off on those because there's maybe a half dozen of them scattered around, but I feel that in reality they're kind of out there in the wilderness. They're probably not going to bother you too terrible much. So I'm just going to go ahead and just give the map a full point. It's really not going to. It's really not going to affect the score in the end that terrible much. So here we are at the northern farm, and again, if we buy this farm, our sleep trigger will be right here at the front door, and it does work. It does work. And this is a really nice retexture job. What is that? This is a nice retexture job of the Holt by the Rune farmhouse, because here we have our garage. Then we have our controller area for our game cartridges. But again, this map uses custom collectibles. They are half-wheel cheese wheels. So here we have a lime and seed buy point, I believe. So we can buy seed, lime, fertilizer. We can store it right there. And that was in the build mode where we could just place the triggers as opposed to the visual silo model. We got our 2 silage bunkers. We have 4 smaller beehive stacks and our bee honey pallet spawn point. We've got another hayloft. We have another silo that we've already seen. And then another set of large sheds for our machinery to go into. All of which is pre-placed and non-removable. I don't really know how you're supposed to get into this farm either. Certainly you're not supposed to come in that way. Maybe there was an alternate way in that I'm just not seeing. Got a couple sheds down here for additional storage, although they're not overly usable. I mean, the land under here could need a little bit of a smoothing out, don't you think? This one's not too terrible bad. Let's head on past the vehicle shop to the biogas plant and beyond. Here we have our biogas plant. If we can ever find the entrance. Really? Are you really going to make me drive all the way around the town? Because this is a collision. I can't sell it. Maybe I just took the wrong turn. Maybe the entrance is literally right down the road here. Maybe. Here we go, finally. Entrance into town. So we have our fuel point. So we have our gas station. Our BGA. The map author did put a ramp here, rather steep ramp, but we have a ramp nonetheless in order to then dump into our digester. We have our manure point. We have our digestate pickup point. We have our three-sided bunkers. Narrow getting in and out of here. Over here we have the animal dealer. Let's try to go to the other side of that building. So we have our animal dealer trigger to buy our animals. We have our bale sell point, or our animal dealer sell point right there. We have a wood or log cell trigger located right here. And then we have a wood chip cell trigger located right there. We have a grain cell point. And now we're going to get into the maze of production. So here we have another grain cell point. Let's see what these are specifically named. So we have the cooperative and grain cell. That's what those two are. So we have our bakery. Interactive icon, and we're going to have our pallet spawn point and dump stations around the back. We have our spinnery. We have our pallet spawn point. Our dump and our interactive trigger. We have our carpentry. Interactive trigger, dump station, wood cell, and pallet spawn point. We have our dairy. Again, all base game stuff. We have our interactive triggers, dump point, pallet spawn point. Across the street, we have our cereal factory. I do like the custom signs that we have on these factories. It's nice to see. Dump point, interactive trigger, and pallet spawn point. Our grape processing center over there. Our flour mill. All the triggers around the front. Then we have our oil mill and our tailor. Tailor to the left, oil mill to the right. We have a grocery sell point. Around the back. Our grape processing center, as I said earlier. Here we have our sugar mill. And that should basically be the town area. The only area we need to go take a look at now is over at the lime mine. But again, you kind of see the wilderness out there. It's pretty barren. Not a lot of trees going on. We got bushes going. So you would want to come through here with either a mod that allows you to mow the bushes, or possibly repaint things so those bushes go away. Coming up here, that is our sheep pasture. That's starting farm. To the right, now we have wilderness on both sides of us. You can kind of see the general lay of the land. I think we're actually going to have to cut through the wilderness in order to get to the actual road that we need to go down. So the last metric of scoring is player and interactive areas being clearly marked. And I think we've seen a few instances where those areas are not necessarily clearly marked. So we're going to give the map 3/4 of a point there as well. So for those of you keeping score, that's going to put this map at 3.5 out of 5. So where the map lost most of its points is without the ability to sell anything really at the starting farms. So the starting farm and the secondary farm, 95% of those buildings are locked. They are pre-placed. You can't get rid of them without any work. Now here we have a lime buy point. And if we come around the side, we have our stone crusher. And at first I thought to myself, hey, this is kind of neat that if we buy this, right, we'll have all of this lime available to us. Right? I mean, look at us. We got mountains of lime. We have lots of lime on the other side of the building, too. Well, this isn't lime, people. This is snow. That's snow. You come over here with a bucket after you've bought this for $2.5 million, you're going to be vastly disappointed when you go and scoop up a whole bucket of snow. Why is this snow? I don't know. It just is. It doesn't make sense. It's one of the weird quirks of the map. But that's what I really wanted to show you, was that all of that is snow. Look, when I drive through it, I lose traction because it's snow. Snow kicks up when I drive through it. Same with here. It's all snow. See? You wouldn't have that problem with lime. So guys, let me know your all's thoughts down in the comments below for the Wastelands map. It's not a bad map. It just has a few points that I think could be really addressed with an update, possibly fixing the sleep trigger down at the starting farm, because it doesn't work for me. Adding trigger markers for the eggs, adding some trigger markers at some other key areas on the map, having the ability to actually sell all of our base game, not our base game, but our starting farm buildings, as well as the buildings up at the secondary farm, would go a long way in putting this map at a firm 4+. Easy, right? Easy. We're talking 4.5 out of 5 if I can sell all the buildings at all the farms without really doing anything else. So like I said, let me know your comments down below. And until next time, happy farming.